Welcome to the We Shine Well podcast, where I have real conversations with thought leaders in wellness to help you live your most vibrant, aligned, and purposeful life. I'm your host, Zoe Kelsey, founder of We Shine Well. Here, we share honest stories, gems of wisdom, and insight to spark clarity and guide your next right step, so you can shine brighter from the inside out. Now let's dive in. Today on the We Shine Well podcast, I'm joined by someone who is rewriting the way we think about food, nourishment, and our relationship with our bodies. Kim Shapira is a registered dietitian, functional nutrition expert, author of This Is What You're Really Hungry For, and the founder of the Kim Shapira Method, a powerful 6-rule framework that helps people break free from diet culture and finally feel good in their bodies for good. With nearly 30 years of experience working in hospitals, wellness centers, and private practice, and features in outlets like People and Pop Sugar, Kim brings science, compassion, and deep humanity to the conversation around healing our relationship with food. Her work is about so much more than what's on the plate. It's about reconnecting with our bodies, understanding our true hunger, and finding freedom through self-trust. In today's episode, we explore the emotional and spiritual roots behind eating, why diets keep failing us, and what it actually takes to feel at home in your body again. Let's dive in. You are an OG We Shine Well member and just like huge supporter personally of me, but I know anybody in your life that you come in contact with. So I'm so grateful to just have our audience learn more about the incredible wisdom that you have to share and what they're really hungry for.
Oh my God, I love you and thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Of course. Well, you've spent decades of your life helping people with their relationships with food. What first sparked this mission for you? And can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today?
Oh my God, how much time do you have?
Here for it all.
Okay. Interestingly enough, my start into this field had nothing to do with food. It really had to do with being healthy. So when I was 12, I got sick and all I wanted to do was really be healthy. And along the way in that first year that I got sick, it was 1986. My mom was in the car with me and I must have been crying on the way to the doctor. And she said to me, "Don't cry. We'll go shopping after your doctor appointment." And it was like the first point in my life where I recognized I could put my mind somewhere other than my body. And I didn't realize I'd be going to the doctor for the next 6 years regularly. And you better believe that every single time I went to the doctor, I also went shopping. And somewhere in high school, a few years after I first got sick, a doctor mentor of mine told me that food can make a person sick or healthy. And it was like a light bulb went off in my mind. And I was like, okay, well then obviously I'm choosing a career in food and nutrition because I want to be healthy. And I'm almost 100% sure that so does everybody else. And so I put myself, I went to college, I studied nutrition and exercise science and kinesiology. And then I went to graduate school at Boston University and I studied human metabolism and clinical nutrition. And then I immediately after my 9-month internship in Boston, I came home and opened a private practice and put people on diets because that's what I had been trained to do. And I told them exactly what to eat. And in that process, the clients that I had seen started getting healthy, meaning that their blood pressure was going back to normal, their cholesterol levels were regulating, all of their health status, their metabolic dysregulation was evening out. It was improving their health by the way that they were eating. And one of my clients who had success early on and got off all of her medication, she's the one who struck me the most because she had lost 30 pounds. And then she said to me during one of our maintenance sessions, I'm going to gain the weight, right? I'm going to gain the weight back. And I was like, why would you do that? We just got you healthy. And she said, well, I was sexually assaulted as a child, and my husband wants to be intimate with me all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not comfortable in this body.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the biggest light bulb for me, that I was actually hurting people by telling them what to eat and not actually understanding what they were going through in their body. And it wasn't about the food. And then from that point, I really started recognizing that my clients were eating the same way that I was shopping.
Mm.
And that changed everything. And here I am.
That's powerful. And just backing up too, it sounds like there's that connection of the not feeling your emotions with the shopping that people also kind of look to food to control.
Yeah.
And what in your journey, what were you healing in your health journey? And did you ever have any disordered eating per se?
Mm. I think everybody could be classified as disordered because not any of us are the same. And so we might be really judgmental in looking at the way that people eat and think that that's not normal or right or weird. And I would say that I would have said to you, no, I have no problems with the way that I eat.
Mm-hmm.
And, in really recognizing like we all have standards when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
food, and whether or not those need to be changed is if it's affecting somebody's ability to fully live and be alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just in your personal journey and as you worked with clients,
Yeah.
is there like a moment or was it more gradual where you were like, this is the root of how I'm like looking to food to control how I feel in my body or I'm perceived externally?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's such a loaded question. You know, my professional mind says, will every one of us develop between 3 and 5 emotional triggers in the first 6 years of our life? And then anytime we go through something traumatizing, and then we work for the rest of our lives to deal with that. And that would be my professional answer. My personal answer would be like, well, my mom said, go shopping, don't cry, and it
Mm-hmm.
would have been unlikely for her to say, yeah, this is a hard time in your life. It's okay to be scared of what you're feeling. But that wasn't her nature. And she's still lovely and amazing. She didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad, on the other hand, he goes to many restaurants and would prefer a baked potato over anything else on the menu. And so I learned very early on, like, it's totally okay to order a baked potato for dinner. I don't have to eat what everyone else is eating. And that has suited me just fine. But the other day I was out for dinner. My girlfriend wanted to go to sushi.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, yeah, let's go to sushi. And then we got there and she's like, what do you want to share? And I'm like, oh, I don't eat sushi. I don't eat raw fish. She
Mm-hmm.
says to me, are you ever you going to try something? And I was like, oh no, I have zero interest in trying any raw fish.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not, I'm not, like, not now and not ever. And it was funny because I love going to sushi, but I love eating what I love to eat in sushi
Mm-hmm.
restaurants. But things like that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to label myself or people, you could classify me as picky, and that
Mm-hmm.
is definitely generational.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure other people are.
Yeah. How do you how do you distinguish between like say picky or disordered
Yeah,
or emotionally charged ways of eating?
yeah. I am completely not bothered by the fact that I don't eat raw fish.
Mhm.
And if you are, it's like something that you have to look at. And so
Mhm.
I went to sushi with my family the other night, and I mean, I got baked crab hand rolls. Like, there's things I love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
It's an experience too of the
yeah.
sushi
I mean,
experience.
I love it. It's just, I love what
Mhm.
I love, and you can love what
Mhm.
you love. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's a disorder in there, but some people,
Mhm.
might feel differently. Like, I love Cheerios for breakfast. I love cereal. And a lot of people might think that that's not healthy. And I put that in like in quotes, or that's not what I would choose, or I heard that's not clean. And I don't have a problem with Cheerios. I'm wondering why you have a problem with Cheerios. And like what, what's the real research? And I'm not going to judge what you're eating. And it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that you're judging what I'm eating.
Mm-hmm. And it's also like the piece of morality in food of like, how can we take that out of the equation?
Yeah.
And food being that fuel.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do believe that we should love what we're eating, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be what you're eating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we're all unique and like when it comes to nutrition too, there's like there can just be like so much noise out there, but at the end of the day, it's like we're all very like unique in what we need and even like what our body is like craving that day too. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're like, little beings where we've picked up projections of other people's ideas of what we should eat, what is right to eat, what is good, what is bad. And it gets confusing over what belongs to us and what belongs to someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you say, I don't fix your eating, I help you fix the part of you that forgot how to listen.
Yes.
Find what you're really hungry for. And your book and masterclass explore what you're really hungry for. What do you find people are truly seeking beneath food, restriction, and diet cycle?
Mm. The answer to the question is peace.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for peace on our health. How can I feel the best, live long and healthy, and have the best quality of life? And sometimes we think that is in a celery juice, that that's going to be the answer. And that is the only answer, right? For instance, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not true. And,
Mm-hmm.
we do know, and more research is coming out, that stress is linked to more problems than some of the food we're eating. And depending on how emotionally resilient and how our body is on a cellular level, is
Mm-hmm.
really how the food is affecting us.
Mhm. And, like, to that extent as well, there are so many people that'll, like, go to Europe and be like, "I ate all of these things and, like, I lost weight." How do you see, like, the energetic
Yeah,
weight and nervous system playing a role of just, like,
it's the best
our
question.
body digesting all of the food that we're eating and
Oh my
making
God.
sense of it all?
It's the best question. The best question. So, our we don't differentiate different types of stress, or I should say, our body doesn't differentiate. So, there's three types. One is
Mhm.
I'm worried about the person walking towards me. The second is I'm worried what I'm going to have on Thursday night for dinner. The other kind could be I'm in physical discomfort, like I'm hungry or I'm full or I have a hurt back. So our
Mhm.
body responds to any one of these types of stress in under 10 seconds, and it creates basically a cortisol drip, right? First, it tips off the hippocampus, which then says, oh,
Mhm.
the last time you felt like this, you ate. And this
Mhm.
is important because GLP-1s are kind of like quieting the hippocampus. And then it tips
Mhm.
off the pituitary and then the adrenal glands. And it's really interesting because that's where we start seeing changes in our hormones, insulin and cortisol. But what's really
Mhm.
interesting about this is the amount of relaxation somebody feels on a vacation or when they're traveling.
Mhm.
And so they don't have that inflammatory response, that cortisol drip. They're in a different
Mhm.
state of being.
Mhm. And how can we take that vacation mode of
Yeah.
eating to everyday life and every meal to
Yeah.
truly like tune into ourselves?
Yeah. I mean, you can think of this forward or backward, right? So, like, if the idea is seamless transitions to go from one moment to the next and to not recognize any difference, is to really work in building up your emotional resilience to understand I've just been triggered. So, the alarm has kind of been
Mhm.
pulled. And now my job is to recover as fast as I can. And so I
Mhm.
can do that through taking deep breaths. And deep breaths are like eating fruits and vegetables. They create nitric oxide, which actually make your cells slippery. So
Mhm.
stuff can't stick to them. Disease can't stick, poisons,
Yeah.
not, all sorts of different ingredients. So I would say being in a practice of recognizing I've been triggered and now I have to get my body back to feeling safe. And
Mhm.
also I would say a meditation practice, right? Just how do you want your day to go? How do you start your day?
Mhm. Do you have a recommendation for your clients of like before they sit down to eat every meal? Is there some practice to ground themselves, to ground in their hunger, that you suggest?
Yeah. So, okay, my favorite practice is repeat this one after me, okay? Because this is
Hmm.
one that we have to practice. So repeat after me. Where is my body?
Where is my body?
It's right here.
It's right here.
And then you say, where is my mind?
Where is my mind?
And then you go and find your mind. And then most people, like I can see that your mind is here. It might be a little not here, but it's mostly here.
Hmm.
A lot of people, if they're in a stress state, their mind is on somewhere other than where their body is. And then before they should eat, they
Hmm.
need to bring their mind back to this moment and then
Hmm.
actually recognize if they're safe or not.
Hmm.
That would be one thing to do. The second is to just take a minute and smell your food.
Hmm.
If we are not ready to eat, meaning that our body is not ready to break down and digest food, it won't produce saliva. So
Hmm.
just by taking a moment to smell your food to produce saliva, it's got all those enzymes you need to break down your food. That couple of deep breaths that you take right before to smell your food, you'll know if you get saliva or not. And if you don't, you're actually not ready to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like when you're eating, how do you recommend people like listen and rebuild that trust with themselves in their body that might be fractured for years to understand like, okay, I'm satiated, I've had enough, or like maybe I need to eat a little bit more because there are so many people that might be overeating or even undereating throughout the day, and then 9 p.m. hits and it's like I'm starving for another meal.
Yeah. Well, I coach my clients with rules. I give them 6 rules. And I
Mhm.
think sometimes when they hear dietitian, they're immediately triggered. Sometimes when they hear rules, they become triggered. And either way, again, we're working on emotional resilience. Why are you triggered? No one took anything away. We're only trying to
Mhm.
build a practice, right? So
Mhm.
being triggered is not a bad thing. It's actually showing you where you have to do a little bit of work. And so
Mhm.
what I would start with my clients is asking if they're really hungry. And,
Mhm.
and some people, a lot of people can't even explain what hunger is.
Yeah.
You know, they think it's in their hands or their head or their heart. And it's really just isolated to our stomach. And it's not painful and it's not scary. And it's a signal that our body is needing fuel.
Mhm.
And then I would recommend that they start with half of their normal portion. And again, this could be a moment when then they become triggered. What do you mean? Are you taking away the other half? What if it's not warm when I want to eat it? You know, what if I never get this meal again? Again, these are all opportunities for us to say, what is happening? Like the food is right in front of you.
Mhm.
You can eat that in a few minutes, but we're just actually allowing our body to dictate our next move,
Mhm.
not our mind.
Mhm. And then there's the piece before that too is like, what do I even put on my plate?
Yeah. And yeah, and that's a really valid point, especially when we have shame around food or we're worried that somebody is judging us or, you know, we think what we're eating is bad.
Mhm.
This, there's no, I would really recommend that everybody eat whatever they want. I would
Mhm.
say start eating whatever you want when you're hungry, starting with half. There's a fail safe in there. You're not going to overeat it. You're only starting with half.
Mhm.
And then really listen to what your body is saying. And
Mhm.
some people, like, if they're classifying food as healthy, then we already need to let that go, right? We just need to call food food. But
Mhm.
how is the food that you're eating making you feel is really, really important because not all foods will make us feel the same way and we change. And sometimes we
Mhm.
take an antibiotic for a UTI that can't be helped. And, you know, that's like 2 steps back with our gut health. But really understanding how our food makes us feel, not paying
Mhm.
attention to what anyone else is experiencing,
Mhm.
and then really being honest about the relationship you have with food.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I even think about it as like you think about praying in a way is like asking for what you want, and meditating is like listening. So it's like,
Mhm.
how can you be like, I want to fuel my body, and like even praying over the meal and then being like, what how much does my body want? What does it actually want to take in?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that's a beautiful way of looking at it. It's a loving way. There's
Mhm.
a great quote from Perks of Being a Wallflower that says, "We accept the love we think we deserve." And I
Mhm.
think at various stages of our life, we are willing to accept love differently. Not
Mhm.
a lot of us are good receivers.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I have one client right now deeply struggling with food and, being home for Thanksgiving where it's not a safe place for her makes that
Mhm.
struggle even worse and harder, or
Mhm.
whatever holiday is coming up, like anytime that she has to go into our home. And it's not that we want to take away the holiday or the home. We want her to be unaffected,
Mhm.
right? So then her body can be more accepting of food. But right now
Mhm.
she's not in love with herself.
Mm. What does that how do you take your clients through that journey of going from maybe body hate to even neutrality to love? Because there's the piece that's food, but there's also body. And I
Yeah.
mean, we've talked about it too. I had anorexia for like 7 years, and it's just like, how can we shift our mindset and just like the power of that's so powerful, but also the mind body component as well. Like,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, like, how can we connect to both, but also just like identify, as we talked about earlier, what are those underlying emotions that we might not be feeling? And like, are we using food to be seen or control? Like, for me, it was control when things were out of control. And it's like, it goes back to your question, like, what are we really hungry for, and how are we looking to food, and how are we maybe self-sabotaging by picking our bodies apart or something like that.
Yeah. 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 So it's never really about the food, but we do make it
Mhm.
about the food. And it is typically about, and when we're restricting in any way, it's when we can't control something outside of ourselves.
Mhm.
And we just want less chaos, less confusion, less
Mhm.
of a mess. And when we're overeating, it's when we're also trying to control the situation, but we need
Mhm.
more love, more attention, more of everything. And sometimes our human body is just goes into a full temper tantrum. I haven't eaten and I'm starving, therefore I will eat everything in this room. And
Mhm.
either way, we take that on as if we are the problem and we're bad. And we believe our mind so much. And so I think it starts with acceptance,
Mhm.
number one, right? So in this, for thinking about my client, it's accepting the people in her space, the people in her life,
Mhm.
not trying to change them
Mhm.
because we can't,
Yeah.
and really coming to a place of acceptance because again it's emotional resilience we're trying to get to, we're trying to build that muscle, right? And then also recognizing that we are in control and we always have been in control, and we can choose how we do want to be in control.
Mhm.
Sometimes it takes a minute to see that we're in control. And I mean, I have a client right now who he purposefully doesn't eat because he
Mhm.
has no other control in his family.
Mm.
And it would really freak everybody out if he did start eating. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm working on with him, because once he starts eating, what is anybody going to talk about?
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it changes the dynamic, and you really start feeling back in control. So
Mhm.
it's a spiritual awakening in a sense of remembering what it's like to be safe inside of your body and that
Mhm.
you wield the energy all
Mhm.
around you. And yeah.
I mean, you're truly a nutrition therapist, and to your point too, it's like at the root of it, in that situation, it's like we all want to be seen and loved in some kind of a way. And there's so many people that like look to food. Like I even looked it up and they're like, says 65% of American women, and that doesn't even include men, between 25 and 45 will have disordered eating behaviors to find that control or be seen in some way. And
Yeah.
how do you help people shift their mindset and even the spiritual component to have that be shifted into other ways and like fully aligning with themselves versus numbing?
Yeah. So for this particular client, this young woman, I just asked her to listen to a podcast and to read a romance novel. You know, she's not in a place where she can meditate.
Yeah.
And if I could get her to play drums in the background, you know, what happens when we listen to drums is suddenly we start like moving to the rhythm, right? So she's so far into the future of worry that getting her into this moment is the single most important thing, because she needs to recognize that she's safe and that, like Esther Perel says it best. Esther Perel is a relationship expert, and she says that we can have up to 8 relationships in a lifetime, and sometimes 8 with the same person. And I would say even 8 with ourselves. And so either one of the clients that I've just kind of addressed, they might be in their second or third or fourth, but there's many, many, many more to go. And also looking back at the way that you did protect yourself, not with judgment, with total appreciation, and knowing that you may not need those skills anymore and that you have new ones now.
And
Yeah.
it even sounds like it's like an armor or safety that people might hold. And like in that vein too, you mentioned the 6 simple rules you have. What rule do you feel like most women or people need to hear right now?
I would say forever, I always thought eat without distractions. We tend to eat because the
Can
food
you
is,
actually go through the 6
yeah,
rules so we have
yeah,
context of what they are?
yes. The first one is eat what you love. Start with half, wait 15 minutes, and see if you need more. And this is really me like buying a Gucci purse that I couldn't afford. So putting it on hold, walking away, and then recognizing, oh, I don't know what emotion that was that thought I needed it, but I don't now. Right. So it's retraining using that same thing that I did to help myself. Rule number 2 is to eat what you love, but to make sure the food loves you back.
Now Foods has truly become part of my everyday rhythm, from morning to night. I start my day with their Xylowite coconut oil toothpaste and my dose of supplements before my morning workout, including methylated B12, vitamin D3, K2, creatine, or whatever supports my wellness needs in that season. I love sipping on my morning matcha with Now's vanilla monk fruit and infusing my water with the red raspberry tea. Of course, we all love a healthy and delicious midday pick-me-up. That's why I like to have their nuts, seeds, and cacao nibs on hand at all time for an easy homemade trail mix. So good. Then, at night, I wind down by diffusing Now's Peaceful Sleep and rubbing a blend of Muscle Zen and their CBD massage oil together to soothe my muscles and joints. What I love most is that Now is quality obsessed. They perform over 31,000 quality tests every month in their world-class labs with more than 150 scientists, ensuring what's on the label is exactly what's in their products. High quality, priced less, and products I genuinely use, love, and trust. To start adding Now to your daily rhythm, enjoy their product by using code WESHINE for 20% off at nowfoods.com.
This is very jarring for people because now they think I just said cookies and cake, which means that they're restricting those foods. And we have to work through some of that. And this is where we get to repair the lining of your gut and you improve your health. Rule number 3 is to eat without distractions, which people eat because the food is in front of them, about 30% more food when it's in front of them. They eat for cravings, which have nothing to do with hunger. They eat for emotional reasons, and we're all very stressed and running around. So it's really easy to eat mindlessly. And we should really be eating when we're hungry. Rule number 4 is 10,000 steps. So we need the muscle to help maintain our weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
Rule number 5 is 8 cups of water. And rule number 6 is 7 hours of sleep. And truly, the average American is getting about 6.5. But when you follow all of these rules to the best of your ability, not that they have to be perfect, but that you're in a practice with them, the side effect of living out these rules is your weight changes, your health improves, your sleep changes, your hormone improves, like literally everything in your life transforms.
Mm-hmm. So what is that one that you think most people need to be hearing?
The eat without distractions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're so distracted. And it's really interesting. We have 60,000 thoughts a day in relation to what we see, smell, feel, hear, and touch. And most people are in their mind and thinking that whatever their thought is like, must be, this is what I'm thinking. And they're not paying attention to the fact that they didn't ask their heart to beat, their lungs to breathe, and their mind is also just working to help us survive the moment. So if they're having a thought about food or shopping or alcohol or cutting or whatever it is, it's really because an alarm has been pulled and they're not okay. And sometimes we're not okay.
Yeah. When, say, somebody listening, they're like, okay, I'm going to have one meal today, undistracted, because I've realized every meal I'm eating distracted or I'm standing up and just shoveling it into my mouth. What is the shift you think people can expect when they start to just eat undistracted?
Such a good question. Okay, so I'm going to say something and I'm curious what you think.
Mm-hmm.
I say that food is boring.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
It's a lie.
Yeah. So we taste the first and last bite of almost everything we eat and not generally anything in the middle. People don't like to be alone with their food. They can call themselves a foodie and they say they love food, but when it's just them and their food, they want to be doing anything else. And if you were really hungry, do you need anything else? That's
Besides
the question.
food?
Right. Yeah. They're not like, if I'm so hungry or if I'm ready for a meal, I just need the food. It's so boring though, because we're meant to chew our food between 15 and 44 times per bite. We're supposed to swallow a liquid bolus. Like our teeth are meant to break down the food. That's, mechanical breakdown. That's how digestion begins. And then we use the acid in our stomach to further break it down, but we need it liquid by the time it gets there. So I would say food is boring is nobody likes to hear that. Most people disagree with me, but everybody comes to believe it.
So if food is boring, how do we enjoy the food that we're eating?
You should always love the food you're eating. You should pick the foods that you 100% love to eat, and you should be hungry when you eat them. And food is boring, but we need it.
I mean, it's so true that like the first bites are always the best, because if I ever go to frozen yogurt, I'm like, I just want the toppings. That's
so
it.
What if you just got the topping? But by the way, the reward of eating is in the anticipation. So the dopamine hit comes from, I get to put that in my mouth, which is why when something is in our mouth, we are already getting our fork or spoon ready for the next bite. And so the practice would be to put the fork down, sit back, really chew your food.
So the dopamine is the short-term hit, serotonin is long-term.
Yeah.
How does serotonin relate to eating and enjoying our food that's boring?
Yeah. I mean, it is boring, right? But we get to have a few bites or mini bites. Yeah. And we get to eat again in 3 hours. It's not like it's, whatever. I have to pee too. And I am like saying, like calling it the same, right? Like that's boring too. But I have to do it, right? And I would prefer a clean bathroom, to be honest. I do have standards. Same with my food. I like what I like. Anyway, I can't even remember your question. I got so sidetracked.
how the serotonin, like how does
Yeah.
serotonin relate versus dopamine to like the experience of eating and satiety?
It's interesting because I wonder if like I'm thinking of my like 12-year-old self and even my 20-year-old self when I would think I had to go to like the Nordstrom half yearly sale,
Mm-hmm.
or buy something or like I had to get there to get what was ever on sale. Um, I think that is like more improves my mood
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I was going to go there, but then I was so distracted by anything
Yeah.
until I could get there that and that's some people even say like all I can think about is the food. It's like calling my name. So I feel like we don't really get the dopamine hit until we either have it in our mouth or in our hands, so to speak, for like shopping. And the serotonin, that's a longer like energy, like raising. I'm like, oh, all my family just walked in. That's like a longer energy boosting hormone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a relation to food with serotonin, you think?
I think depending on if people are taking medications or not, um,
Mm-hmm.
there is, of course, like starchy food or carbohydrate increases that hormone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't really think that, I don't think that's what's driving. I mean, I guess I could be driving a craving for sure. Like I know many people who they wake up in the middle of the night
Mm-hmm.
and they eat. Do you know people like that? So
I
many
don't
things are
know
happening.
people, but I've heard,
Yeah.
well, I
Yeah.
feel like there are probably people that might not talk about it necessarily.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So a lot of those people either take melatonin, which I wouldn't recommend because it tells your brain to stop making it, or they might be taking like an anti-anxiety or antidepressant medicine, or they might be eating too close to bed and this is altering their blood sugar. So I think the connection is that they need something to help relax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like there are so many diets out there and why don't they work? Why don't you believe they fail us physically, emotionally, and spiritually?
Well, some of them are dangerous and they don't work because they're not sustainable. So we shouldn't be eating or making a change short term unless it's for a health reason if you can't sustain the results. So I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest problems with like Biggest Loser, for instance, is like you took these people and you had them work out 4 hours a day on a diet restriction.
Mm-hmm.
When they go back to their full-time jobs and family, their same stresses come back and kick in. And so it's not very realistic. And most people have to gear themselves up for a diet. I'll start on Monday. I am going to be all in for 30 days. And they're really relying on willpower. And we run out of that kind of energy. And I believe that we need to be developing inner power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just foundationally too, like in terms of the various food groups, and when somebody goes to eat a meal that's truly satiating themselves, do you have recommendations of like, I want you to sit down and make sure that you have these food groups on your plate?
Yeah. That's a loaded question. So I had a client this week. She's a young girl, 10, and her family, they call her a picky eater, and everyone around her is watching what she eats because she only likes 10 foods according to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out one of the parents is making like just like a protein, and sometimes there's a starch. So I think it's unfair to be called this way, especially when there's not a lot of offerings. And I would rather have everything at the dinner table for a family or available. And again, we eat 30% more food when it's in front of us. So I would rather cut some fruits, cut some vegetables, and then also cook some fruits. I mean, cook some vegetables and then have a little bit of everything and then decide in that meal how much of it you need and want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I think having a balance is very important, but I don't think if every one of your meals isn't balanced, there's anything wrong with that. if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. You have to be careful, right? Like of course, if we're just talking about gut health and brain health and preventing disease, we need about 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. It's
Mm-hmm.
fruits or vegetables in a day. They're the same vitamins and same antioxidants. And some people don't even buy fruits or vegetables,
Yeah.
so it's complicated, but I think that we should have a variety of food available and around us and easy access to it. We're more
Mm-hmm.
likely to eat it. If I have to cook some pasta, I may not eat it, but if I had cooked pasta, maybe I would put it on my plate.
Yeah. So when you think about like preparing meals and food for your family each week, how do you personally do that?
Yeah.
To like support your overall health, longevity, well-being, brain health, etc.
Yeah. Again, emotional resilience is really important to making sure that your cellular health is great. One thing that I think every person needs to have is flaxseed or chia seed or hemp seed. I think the
Mm.
omega-3s and the fiber are super important. If there was any one food, that would be the food you'd want to include somewhere in your diet at some point, as often as possible, or daily, I should say. I raised 3 daughters, and they did not all like the same foods. So every single night, well, every day when they got home from school and breakfast and dinner, there was always a plate of fruit. So and it was like chopped strawberries, blueberries, peaches, mango, oranges, like 5 or 6 right in front of them, cut beautifully. And then the same thing with vegetables, 3 or 4 vegetables cut, put right in front of them. And Olivia got Monday night, Sophia got Tuesday, and Natasha got Wednesday, and I got Thursday. And then Friday, we just had pizza and movie, and poor Matt didn't get anything. But Olivia got to pick what we had on Monday. And if Natasha didn't like what Olivia picked, I didn't worry about it because there was always the sides and always the fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't worry about it.
So it sounds like we're going to the store for the week. We are buying the fresh fruits and vegetables, starch, protein, so we have the options. And
Yeah,
then going to make meals for family or yourself, how can you have those things stocked so that when you have the cravings or you're hungry, like what sounds good to me and how can I select from this?
yeah.
Then we eat half undistracted.
Start
We
with
see
half.
yeah, then we see if we're still hungry for more, and then
Yeah.
we go on with our day.
You know what's so interesting is I just did a book club
Mhm.
last month. It was so much fun. I did it. My book came out 2 years ago, and so I just did this book club. I'm going to do it again in February, and it was just this free offering. And I met with everybody for an hour every Monday, and we read 50 pages at a time. And
Mhm.
about 2 weeks into the book club, I recognized that one pain point that almost every single one of these people in the club had was they didn't know how to prepare meals.
Mm.
That each
Mhm.
one had a struggle. So it's funny that the way you're saying it and what you're saying. And I actually just created a sheet to help people, and it's like a pay what you want. So even if you want to pay like a penny, it's
Mhm.
going to be on my website. So it's actually really important because I didn't realize how many people struggled with. I
Mhm.
mean, I knew it, but I didn't really understand that these women at 8 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning were thinking about it all day long. And that stress is what makes us unhealthy.
That mental load. Yeah, we can
Yes.
definitely link that out in the show notes too.
Yeah. 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 It's good.
Mhm. And yeah, it's just so powerful to just think about all of those different components too. And like with there being so much noise on nutrition and diets from intermittent fasting to peptides to GLP-1s and you need to be eating this amount of protein, what cultural noise and narratives around body image and health do you think are harmful and how can we break free from them?
Mm. Oh my God, where do we even start? First of all, intermittent fasting is not ideal for a woman. It really wreaks havoc on your hormones and so many other things. So do your research and really see if that's something that you can do long term. And I've seen so many people almost binge at the end of the day before their time runs out just to get anything in,
Mm,
because they're not gonna eat after a certain time. And this is not the point of that, but this is what I
mhm,
see happening. And again, not sustainable. We're not meant to stay hungry. And if somebody is struggling with getting hungry, they should really understand their body fat and muscle mass, ratio. Because if we didn't have to pee, we would go to the doctor, right? Hunger
mhm.
is normal. We should be hungry. So
Yeah.
we really need to understand why we're not.
Are there optimal times you suggest eating after you wake up or before you go to bed?
I think your body will tell you when it's time to eat. The only thing I would say is the fast that we should have would be after dinner. And
Mhm,
so we really want a 3 to 6 hour break between eating dinner and laying down. This helps us get a good night's sleep, and it also prevents acid reflux.
mhm,
Um, and then protein is interesting because when people started taking a GLP-1 weight loss medication, and currently 9 million people are on one, and in the year 2030 we'll have about 30 million people. So it's not going anywhere, and it's helping so many people in so many ways for so many reasons. But when you're not hungry, number one, were these people hungry to begin with?
mhm,
And now that they have this medication that's quieting the hippocampus, they're recognizing, oh, this might be stress or another feeling. They're not able to get in as much nutrition. And so that's where the high protein kind of phase came in. And I would say it's really more important to have a variety of food on your plate, because when we don't pay attention to fruits and vegetables or grains, we're actually going to end up with a whole bunch of other deficiencies. Forget the muscle
mhm,
mass. We're going to be in big trouble we're going to bring back rickets and bring back scurvy, and constipation is an increase. If you are suffering from constipation, that increases your risk for colon cancer. And yeah,
mhm,
so many issues. So variety, a little bit of everything.
mhm. And GLP-1s are like, I've heard people say it's the biggest drug introduced. It's similar to birth control and will most likely change the healthcare system and how we eat and food forever. Like, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, I actually got interviewed in 2022 in Vanity Fair before they came out. I mean, they had
Mhm,
always been out, but until they kind of really hit big. And I said they were a lifeline. I said from the beginning, we will no longer have metabolic dysregulation. Anybody that has any metabolic disease, we're going to eradicate those, which is
mhm,
very exciting. But what they don't do is they don't heal an unhealthy relationship with food, because I'm finding that people are still very happy that they didn't eat all day,
mm, mhm.
as if they're winning. And this is not winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we
Do you
just need to
think
still work on that.
do you think there are ways that we can live? I guess the question is, how can we live in a way like we are getting the benefits of GLP-1s without taking them?
Yeah. Yeah. Good question. So GLP-1 is glucagon like peptide. It's actually a hormone we already have.
Mhm,
And so that's what I've been talking about for the last few 20 years or so, right? So it actually, a GLP-1 is what regulates hunger and satiety.
mhm,
And when it's in harmony, you know what you need. And so eating when you're hungry is a signal from the hormone ghrelin telling your mind it's time to get food. Waiting 15 minutes allows the GLP-1 to work. And then the feeling of satiety is leptin, that hormone that tells you you're satisfied. We all have a GLP-1. We literally have GLP-1 in our body. That's the
mhm.
name of our hormone.
Yeah. And what do you see as kind of the difference between like a craving where your body is nutritionally craving something versus like you're emotionally craving something?
Yeah. One sounds intuitive, and that's beautiful and amazing. And I would still eat it when you're hungry and start with half, and then maybe eat it again in 3 hours. A craving is not from your stomach, it's from your hands or your heart, and it's a need. And it's like you're being so seduced by it, you can taste it in your mouth. That's like having sex without a condom. We all know it's a bad idea, but it sounds like such a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really just a thought. It's an
Yeah.
actual physical response to having a withdrawal. Like maybe you had sugar a couple hours earlier or the day before, and now your body is having withdrawals. And so it's a pulling, it's a need. But if you actually ignored it, the thought goes away and you forgot you didn't have it.
Mm-hmm. And then blood sugar regulation plays a role into those cravings as well. So how do we eat what we want and our body needs while also regulating our blood sugar?
Yeah. So ideally, we want to be hungry every 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. We have about 5 hours of fuel in our liver that's constantly being fed into our bloodstream. If we go longer than 3 or 4 hours without eating, it signals to the brain that we're not getting enough and it slows down all of our body functions and that disturbs our metabolism. So you want to eat every 3 to 4 hours, starting with half, trusting that the food is right there and that you can have more when you get hungry. That's the key to number one. Number two, it's really like loving yourself so much that recognizing there's nothing wrong with eating what I love unless it's giving me a headache or diarrhea or bloating or fatigue or burping, nausea. These are signs and symptoms that there's something that isn't agreeing with you. And then the question is, how long would you stay in a relationship where you're being hurt?
Mm-hmm. And then stress and nervous system regulation, cravings, and what we eat, they all play into our overall well-being and like gut and hormone and thyroid health. So how do we optimize that, or what do you see as the biggest kind of concerns people come to you for?
Yeah. Every decision that we make comes from a place of fear or trust. And so a lot of the things that you're even mentioning are like fear-based, right? And so I was talking to a client, her daughter had been in and out of drug rehab. And this last time she had broken her leg and then it healed by the time she went into rehab. And, her mom was really nervous about her going in. And she said to her mom, this time is going to be different because I saw this miracle in my body where it was broken and then it healed. And I didn't know that I could heal.
Mm,
And I really think that's deeply profound, that we don't trust our body. And why not? Why not? Why do I trust what someone else is saying more than myself?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how can people listening begin to rebuild that trust with themselves and their bodies when it's been fractured?
Yeah. I
Or
would
that's all they
say,
know.
yeah, bravery. We have to have a few seconds of bravery, right? So we make 221 food choices every day, and it's being aware that you are in a choice. And what if you made a second choice? What will happen?
Mm-hmm.
And really collecting evidence that nothing happens is the way we develop that trust.
Mm-hmm. Something I like to think about as well is like experiments. It's like, let's try this thing
Yeah.
and let's see how it feels and then make a decision from there. Because sometimes it can be like, even that's why diets don't work too, is like it's a commitment to something that's rigid and strict, but it's like not necessarily like trying a diet, but like trying something that's nourishing is like,
Yeah.
let me see how it feels to do a meditation for me. Or maybe is breath work something that feels
Right.
more aligned? Or is having just a donut itself gonna spike my blood sugar? Or should I pair that with protein or something?
Yeah. I said it earlier, this is like a spiritual change, right? So I would say 100% of my clients would come to me if it's not for gut health, it's because they want to lose weight. And I
Mm-hmm.
would reframe that maybe within the first 5 minutes of our session and say, actually, you really just want to learn how to maintain the weight loss.
Mm.
And so it is what you're saying. It is the breath work and the meditation. It is the lifestyle. It is committing to the change because you have to become somebody you've never been
Mm-hmm.
in order to really sustain the results. And it's so beautiful And there's not a lot of room in people's lives to be different.
Mm-hmm.
You have to force it.
And it sounds like this work you're doing is helping people come back home to themselves.
I love it. I love it.
To nourish themselves, mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
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 And that component too is like we talked about, how can we eat on vacation mode?
Yeah.
Undistracted and regulated.
Yeah. All of that. How can we?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You're going to have to try it. You're going to have to let me know how that goes.
Yeah. And what we kind of touched on it earlier, but how do you see clients moving from, let's say, body neutrality to body love, where they feel like they're truly coming home to their bodies and themselves?
Boundaries and allowing that change. So people have expectations of us all the time, and they get upset when we don't meet those expectations. And so moving from this people pleasing era
Mm-hmm.
into a total commitment of I'm worthy and I love myself enough to
Mm-hmm.
be authentic in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary. And there's lots of steps, and sometimes it's really much easier. But, it's not about being perfect. It is about practice. And it is about recognizing I got out of the practice. How fast can I get back to the practice?
Mm-hmm.
Not about beating yourself up.
Yeah. And what is something you wish more people asked you or clients did when it comes to food, nourishment, how they think about themselves and their bodies?
I don't think it's about the food. So I think I wish more people recognized that it's easier than they think, and that it's not about the food, and that we make it about the food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if somebody listening is still believing, I've always thought it's about the food, what is one step that they can take to identify what it's really about for them?
Yeah. The 10-year-old that I was talking about earlier, it turns out she was watching TikTok and trying to be like some of the things that she heard on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that's really important is looking at your For You page and deleting things that are creating that triggering, feeling in your body. Because the less noise that we can have around us is a great start. But sometimes we can't stop the noise, and it's at home, and it's our mom and our sister or our dad or whoever, whatever. And so I think the most important thing is to take deep breaths and not try to control, but to recognize that you're safe in the moment you're in.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like that audit of the For You page, but also like, what is for you in life? What are you surrounding yourself with that's nourishing or not nourishing? Because
Yes.
nourishment is not just food.
It's not just food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nope. And it's not even a reward or a treat. It's something we need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, with that, is there one truth or reminder you want everyone listening to take with them today?
I would say it's easier than they think.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope
What
they
is,
all find it.
yeah, that's powerful. And where can listeners connect with you, learn from you, join your programs, all the things?
They can find me through you. They can find me on all my socials at Kim Shapira Method, and I'm there every day.
Perfect. Well, we'll add all of the links to you in the show notes, and your programs and your guide on how to actually food prep. And thank you so much for being here. This has been an incredible conversation, and you are such a wealth of knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was so fun.
Of course. Thank you for tuning in to the We Shine Well podcast. If today's conversation lit something up in you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, leave us a review, and dive deeper each week by subscribing to our Substack in the show notes to interact with guests and discover more resources to expand you. Until next time, keep trusting your right next step and keep shining, my friend.